Well, hello everybody. Thank you for tuning in to a special, like extra outside the box self-publishing insiders. And today we've got really kind of a special guest, but we got a couple of different things going on. I'm real excited about it. This has been a big announcement, an industry-wide announcement even. But we're talking with Rob Sturtz from SelfPubBookCovers.com and Nick Thacker, who's now our VP of Author Success at Drafted Digital. And welcome, guys. This is exciting.
Good to be here.
Thank you.
And Rob, man, this is the first time you and I have really gotten to talk. So, you know, everybody's going to get to see our first meet and greet live. How do you feel about that?
Love it. Love
I hope you guys like each other.
Yeah, if it turns out we hate each other on air, that's gonna be great for ratings.
It's a little awkward, yeah, but it'll be good for ratings.
Sort of Jerry Springer kind of thing. So before we, as we get started, as we roll into this, and before we really dive into the acquisition and what that's going to mean for everybody, Rob, I'd really like to hear the origin of the site and the service. Can you kind of give us a rundown?
Sure. Shoshana Evers, who was a New York Times and USA author, and also was my daughter, she came to me after I had done several covers for her, and she said to me, "Hey, Dad, we should get into this business. You're an artist. I'm an author. We can do something really, really good." No one at the time knew that she was my daughter. For 10 years, we kept it a secret. And over a period of a year, we did a lot of research for SelfPubBookCovers, and we decided we were going to be inviting artists from all over the world because I could not do all the covers the way that we had this figured out. And then once we decided we were going to invite authors from all over the world, the question came up, well, what if they're from Spain or France, the artists?
Yeah.
How are they going to do the typography? And we thought, well, that's going to be an issue. There's going to be a language barrier. And also, authors like to tweak their titles, or they might change the title. And a lot of times, it might take a lot longer after the cover's designed just to do the typography. You know, move the type up, move it down, a little red, not too red, bigger, different font. So we decided to allow the author to do their own typographical customization on our site.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be really big. Nobody did anything like that.
Yeah.
And our authors have unlimited free typographical changes. So what was happening was we were getting authors buying covers for inspiration. We were getting authors buying covers, doing their typography, putting their name on it. And then a month later saying, you know what? I don't like the title of my book. I'm going to relaunch it with a different name. And then just go back in and change it. Artists loved it. Authors loved it. And that's how SelfPubBookCovers was born.
Great origin story, really. I mean, because you're right. No one was doing that. No one was allowing you to do that sort of thing. And the people who were doing it, it was clunky and awkward, and the results were usually pretty ugly. But let's talk a little bit about the art, though. Where was the art coming from? You said you were recruiting folks because you couldn't do them all.
Right.
I find that shocking, Rob. But you were recruiting folks so how'd that start? I mean, how did you end up managing all these contributing artists?
Well, the year that it took for the programmers to build the site, I started designing covers, and I seeded the site with approximately 800 covers, with different styles, different names. And we then just put out the word that we were looking for talented artists. And once the artists started coming in and they saw that it was simple, the process, that they were being paid within 48 hours automatically, that we were giving them audiobook covers to do. We were giving them back cover spines to do. Once we established a trust with the artists, word spread. And after that first year, I really didn't do any more book covers. I was doing, being the creative director, helping people, helping authors with their projects, with their creative briefs, and then just passing it along to our artists to do.
Yeah. And it sounds like it went really well. And certainly it's something. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say, we have over 60,000. We have a running total on our site, but right now we have over 60,000 one-of-a-kind book covers.
Wow. Yeah. What happens when someone buys one? Is it retired?
Oh yeah, that's it, because it's one of a kind. What happens is we have a system in which the author purchases the cover. They get an email with the receipt. We get an email alerting us that a cover was sold, which we then pass along to the social media people to promote the artist that was sold. And then, bottom line, it's just a very, very smooth transition. The artist gets paid within 48 hours when the cover is sold. The cover is removed from our site, but the author always has available on their own dashboard their cover. Yeah. So that they can do, they can change the title or make the title bigger. They're not locked in. And that's one of the things that a lot of our authors love. Also, since my daughter was an author, she was very, very familiar with certain programs that were used for doing the manuscripts. So we tried to use a similar feel on the Customize Me Now page for authors. Yeah. So authors are used to hitting a plus sign to make the type bigger, or negative sign. So we kept the interface very, very easy for everyone. Yeah. So Nick, this is all sounding great, but where did Draft to Digital come into this process? Like how did this end up happening?
So, this used to be kind of a running gag internally, but it's such a funny story. I think it's worth telling the rest of the world. Basically, some of the higher ups here at Draft to Digital, not me, I will say, wanted to link to a third-party website that did cover design, that offered pre-made covers ethically at a good price and did exactly what SelfPubBookCovers does. And that was it. That they wanted a link. When you go through the Draft to Digital process of uploading your manuscript, it says, do you have a cover? Yes or no. And if you click no, there was nowhere else. We didn't guide the author anywhere. And we wanted to have a link. These people wanted to have a link to some service. Well, here we are. This is what happens when higher ups at Draft to Digital want to link to another service. We end up going and ending up making a really cool deal with that provider, that service, and bringing it into the Draft to Digital fold. But it all started with that. It all started with trying to make the job easier for authors. Yeah. We wanted to offer a way to just, like I said, ethically, affordable, good covers for the first-time author, for the second-time author, for the author just wanting to get a book out. And SelfPubBookCovers was there. And of course, Rob, was obviously involved in that process. And here we are. So I came in after that. We had a meeting with these guys, and the CEO, COO, Chris and Toby, and I had a meeting with them, and they said, look, we kind of did this thing and we realized that we can't really run it, but you could. Why don't you run this thing, and we'll make a new division, and we'll do all this. We'll make it called Author Success because it really is about the success of authors, and you could be the VP of it, and you just got to run it. And I was like, that sounds like a lot of work. Okay, I guess we'll do it. But I started poking around. I started talking to Rob, and it was like, this is a match made in heaven. There's no way we're saying no to this. This is amazing. This is a perfect opportunity for authors. And now it's a perfect opportunity for artists as well. to get their work out there. And so hey, here we are. I'm running with Rob currently, and in the future it'll be me and whatever team we've got in place running this thing. But it's going. I mean, it's working really well. It's already obviously it's already a company that existed, and so we're just excited. I mean, we're just we're kind of. I feel like I'm drinking from the fire hose in some ways. Rob's like, "Hey, did you check this?" And I'm like, "I don't even know what those words mean," but here we go. But he's done such a great job getting me trained up and passing the baton, if you will. And once I've got that baton and I'm not fumbling it everywhere, we're just gonna. I don't know. Let's keep the marathon. Keep the analogy going. We're gonna run the marathon.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So what are some of the challenges so far, and maybe even that we know are coming for integrating this into SelfPubBookCovers.com into the draft to digital fold?
Yeah. Well, let me back up and talk about some of the challenges before even we talk about integration. There's some challenges that we're facing. One of the big ones, Rob and I have been talking about, we can't upgrade the site. Essentially, we can't take what currently exists and secure certain pieces of it. So we need to rebuild some of the architecture that lets it run. Not a major problem, but that's one of the things, we want to make sure we're building for the future and not just duct taping what currently exists, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. AI, the debate that's currently raging is always a big one. And we're looking at that. We're trying to figure out how best to approach it, how best to ethically incorporate it if possible. And of course, follow along with anything legal that's coming down the pike. Yeah. And then so to answer your question specifically, once we have those, there's more, but once we have those big issues resolved, or at least plans for it, then we talk about integrating. And what I would love to see is a way to not only get a book cover by clicking a link and going to SelfPubBookCovers.com from the Draft to Digital dashboard, but to have a user dashboard in Draft to Digital's portal that has all of your books and any covers that you've purchased. And of course, we haven't talked about this, but part of Author Success, the department, is another company called Author Email that Kevin and I started, that you and I started. And that's also part of Draft to Digital now. And so have all the email lists that you've got and all the email subscribers that you've got collected all in one cool, beautiful dashboard that's easy to use. Click a button and squirt your book out to everybody that's following.
Yeah. See what we're doing. You see what we're doing, everyone. All right. But I'm supposed to be host, not marketing guy right now. So there's been some comments and at least one question. I want to remind everybody watching, this is your time to ask questions. This is when you're going to get the most direct answers. So pop into the comments, ask a question. If I can't get to it, we've got people monitoring the comments from within, and they will definitely help you out. But here's one question I think a lot of people are going to ask. Pardon me. Anna Marie Uber from Facebook asked, do you do custom covers?
Yes. We're primarily geared with pre-made covers, but we understand that if an author buys one of our covers and it's part of a trilogy, they might ask for a custom cover based on the cover that they bought.
Right. That's good.
As strange as it sounds, with over 60,000 covers, we're still getting custom cover requests. Author imagination, it's all over the place. Our artists are really imaginative, but every now and then you would get a request for something that's we just don't have. Another thing that we do is if you find a cover on our site that's almost perfect, we can look into modifying it for you. We ask that you don't buy the cover yet. You just send us an email and say, hey, this cover I'm interested in. Can you change this? In fact, we just did one. There was a unicorn on it. They wanted to remove the horn. Contacted the artist. We were able to do it we have a minimum.
It would just be a corn at that point.
Yeah, just get rid of the corn. And, we do a lot of modifications for authors too.
Yeah. That's good to hear.
The primary thrust of the website is pre-made book covers. And of course, as authors click around and experience with us, what they're finding is they may want a modification, which is another service that SelfPubBookCovers offers, or a custom cover. Right. And then the other one from that is once a cover is purchased, whether it's pre-made or custom, a lot of times authors want the print wrap made.
Yeah.
which is kind of an additional service that we can provide as well. So we have all these things. And going back to Kevin's question earlier, that is one of the challenges that I'm looking at right now is kind of how we go forward with this is how do we make it not so that we have to have Rob answering emails back and forth all day, every day. So trying to streamline this process is one of my major goals for the rest of this year, early next year. I want to figure out how we can manage that because I don't want to get rid of offerings. I don't want to stop doing custom covers, for example, but there's a burden of going back and forth with authors and making sure that's what they want. And can the artist do it? So there's things like that I'm really hoping we can start streamlining and making it a little bit easier for people like Rob, whether it's Rob or whoever it is in the future on our side helping out. It's only going to make it possible for us to do more with authors and do more for artists that are selling covers on our site.
Excellent. We have some other questions coming in. Here's one from Tina Lee on Facebook. Will we have to upload all our covers again for the integration? And Tina's one of the designers.
I really hope not. No, my goal is, like I said, we're currently on a system that is a bit out of date in some areas. And like I said, that's not a problem. That's just how the internet works. And we have to update it. But in order to do so, we're gonna have to build some new things. And so one of the main focal points of that new thing, whatever it is that I've got on my top of my list is how do we integrate the current designers, basically user base, as well as their, covers, if they're an artist, or covers if they're an author, into the new platform, whatever that new platform looks like. So that is the number one, probably the number one priority going forward is how do we make sure that we don't have to ask people to start over? Because that's going to hurt Draft to Digital as well as, the people trying to upload for us. We don't want to start from scratch. There's no reason to. We just need to figure out how to do it well.
Plus, that's like 60,000 covers. That's
what
Exactly. Go ahead, Rob.
I'd like to add a note to this. We have a vetting system, and this is something and search feature. This is something that a lot of people did not think about moving forward. How are people going to find? If you've got 100 covers or 200 covers on a site, you don't really need a search feature. But we were thinking long term that we were going to have 100,000 covers or whatever. So we've got a strong search feature, but behind it, every cover that is posted is vetted. We have over 20 things that we look into. Where are the images coming from? Are there any copyright issues that we should be aware of?
Right.
So is the quality there? And what we do is we have vetters that look at the covers, they go through the checklist, and if there's anything is wrong, it'll either get rejected or we'll ask the artist to fix it. So all these covers with the information attached to them will also allow us, if let's say the artist can't do a project, a back cover spine based on their cover, we have all the information on how the cover was built and all of the source material. So we're covered. And this is the type of thing that should be integrated or will be integrated when the covers are moved over.
Yeah. This is so earlier you made an interesting use case that I think is something we should explore. And this next question is going to be about it. But you had mentioned, people come in, they buy a cover, and maybe they have a trilogy, so they want the trilogy covers to match. That's similar to this question. Is I have BK's asking, I have a 6-book series and would like the covers to match. How would that work?
Well, it's quite simple. We would start with the creative brief. And once the author accepts the creative brief, we'll send it out for a quote. And we're only talking about one out of the 6. We want to establish the look. And once the look is created, then the artist knows how it is to work with the creative, whether or not the creative was as accurate. Sometimes we have an author say, I want this. And then after they see it, they say, that's exactly what I asked for. But now that I see it, it's not what I want.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is get the first cover, the theme, the color, the style, the look established. And then we'd run with it. If we know, for example, that there's going to be one particular person, let's say a man or a woman or a couple, before the artist does the first cover, they will look to see if there are other images of the same model available for multiple cover projects. So we do our homework ahead of time. Our philosophy is no surprises. Nobody likes to get surprised, except maybe on their birthday.
Yeah.
But other than that, no surprises. You know, we try to be very, very upfront. We do not take every project. Some projects are better suited for illustrators, for example.
Yeah.
And if there's any questions about custom covers or modifying a cover, go to SelfPubBookCovers.com and click on either custom cover or back cover spine link. And we go into a lot of detail. And we also have a frequently asked FAQ, frequently asked questions at the bottom of our site, which goes into a lot of information, a lot of questions that you might not even know that you needed to ask.
Yeah.
Are covered in the FAQ.
Let's pop up some more questions here. This one is from mystery author Deborah Purdy Kong on Facebook. Would we pay separately for the ebook, print, and audiobook covers, or is there a one flat fee?
There is a flat fee for the ebook and a cover that can be used for print. Converting a book cover to an audiobook cover, you're talking about taking a vertical and turning it into a square. That's additional work.
Yeah.
That's a custom project, and that's different. The same thing with the back cover spine. If you take a look on our FAQ, it goes into more detail exactly what you're getting. But basically, it's a low-res 72 DPI file that's perfect for print, and a 300 DPI file, which is perfect for print.
Yeah.
Both files are oversized. So some of our authors, they like to print up giant posters for, you know, a trade show or something like that. And
Right.
our files look fabulous.
Excellent. I like things to look fabulous. I like to look fabulous. Here's a question. This one may be for you, Nick. If Jay Louisa on YouTube asks, if we already have a cover and an account from SelfPub and want to purchase a custom back cover and spine later on, will we have to go through Draft Digital?
No. SelfPubBookCovers is a separate website, and at this point in the game, they are completely separate, meaning your username, your email address, what you log in with, are two separate accounts. Like I said, if there is integration coming down the road, and I hope there is, we will make it so that you can do both from one place. But right now, if you already have an account with SelfPubBookCovers, stay there. It's all right there. It's all working just fine. And that's how you can go and purchase a back cover and spine later on.
Okay. Anne-Marie Uber's back. Will there be different sizes for the various platforms or just for D2D?
So yeah, the sizing thing, it's for an ebook, it's a JPEG image, and that will work on Draft Digital. You can upload it to Amazon. You can take it wherever you want your ebook to be sold. For the print, you will give us, so if you wanted to purchase a back cover spine, you will give us the template from the place where you will upload that print book. So if you're going to Draft Digital for your print, if you're going to Ingram Spark, if you're going directly to Amazon, KDP Print, you'll go to use their covered template. And again, like Rob keeps saying, we've got that in the FAQ. We will send us an email. We'll tell you how to do it. We'll send you right there, generate your cover template, send that to us with your request for a back cover spine for that print layout, for the print wrap. And then we'll have everything we need. We'll package it up, send it to the artist, and get that back to you.
Excellent. Jan Smith on YouTube asks, and this probably goes to the customization stuff, Rob, but could I add an award medallion to I'm just going to reinterpret this. Could I add an award medallion to an existing cover after it's made?
Most definitely.
Okay.
That would be handled as a modification. and we do this for authors often.
I'm
hearing
sorry.
you.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. That's my fault. I was on mute. What are the I wanted to tack onto this question, but what are the files that are delivered to the author once they've purchased?
Okay, when you purchase a book cover, you'll be downloading JPEG files, and JPEGs are the golden standard, 300 DPI,
Yeah.
golden
Okay.
standard for print and for the ebooks. However, if you're doing a print book, you're going to need a back cover spine, and that file is a high resolution PDF that is delivered.
Okay.
And what we do is we like to take the cover and continue it through the spine to the back cover as seamless. And the reason for this is sometimes the printing, it's not the file, it's the printing. They might be a little off. If we have found that if there's a hard spine, let's say you have a white cover, a white back cover, and a black spine. If the printing is 1/8 of an inch off, you got that black on the front or the black on the back with white. But the way we design our back cover spines as one spread, if the printing is off a little bit, it's not noticeable, and it's in everybody's best interests that there's not a hard, fast, demarcation for a spine.
Right.
And those files are PDFs. And by the way, we have 100% success rate with back cover spines being accepted by all publishers. As long as the template that is given to us is correct, it goes through like a hot knife through butter.
Butter. I had a question actually, Nick. Maybe you know the answer, and if you don't, it's okay because this is all brand new. But Draft Digital, we have our cover converter for the ebook covers. Are we looking to integrate this at all in that process? Is there anything that's going to happen, with that?
Simply, yes, eventually. Don't really know the details of what that's going to look like. But again, the goal long term is to have a much more integrated system between the two platforms rather than having two completely separate platforms. Excellent.
All right. We got more questions. Let's pop one up. So from Facebook, why don't you show a little practical workshop on this? That's more of a suggestion than a question, but I think that's probably a good idea. We should do a live walkthrough of this at some point.
We certainly can.
Well,
do a webinar or something.
One of the things that a lot of authors can do, if you like, is on the bottom of our site, SelfPubBookCovers.com, lower left-hand corner, it says video help. There's a 1.5 minute video that shows how easy it is to do the customization of typography on our site.
Yeah. So
that might be something that, and there's also some other links in there to show how to do some type tricks and things like that. So we recommend taking a look at that.
That's very cool. That's a great resource. Okay. And that's you said that's at the bottom of the website at
Yeah, in the green band. I think it's the first link on the left. It says video help.
Excellent. That's great. Okay. So another question real quick. Let's pop this one up. Are there nonfiction covers? She's saying it seems to be hard to find those for some reason.
Yeah, so we do have nonfiction covers, but nonfiction runs so many different gamuts. Like we have a lot of landscapes, which could be for nonfiction, or poetry or something like that. Is poetry considered nonfiction in the genre?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay. If you're talking about a specific, you can do a search. There's 3 ways of doing a search on our site. So you could put in if you're doing something about the Northeast or something like that, or Civil War or something like that, you can put in a keyword search. And if you don't find something, just send us an email with the request. Keep your creative brief simple, and we can get back to you with a quote.
I like it. Here's a question from Richard, who Richard tends to do his own covers. He's got that skill. So, but thanks for slumming with us, Richard. The Amazon templates are 600 DPI. Who needs or why work in 600 DPI? My question to tack on is that's not what we do. We don't offer a 600 DPI. You're saying,
No,
or do we?
no.
Okay.
Also, when we get a Amazon template, it's a PDF.
Mm-hmm.
When you open up a PDF in Photoshop, you can indicate the DPI that you want. Since we only do 300, 600 is overkill.
Yeah.
If anything, I personally have not seen a template come in at 600, unless maybe it's in another form. But
Yeah.
the PDFs that I open are 300 DPI, and that's the standard that we use.
Yeah. Okay.
And I agree. Nobody needs a 600 DPI file.
Nobody needs not for what we're doing.
No.
Some guy, some rapscallion named Jim Azevedo asks, Robert Nick, can you describe how an artist can sign up to have their work listed on SPBC?
It's very, very simple. We have at the top of our site, it says artists sign in or sign up. After you sign up, we recommend that you only submit just a couple covers to see the process, see how we're responding to your covers. If you follow our vetting system, if you answer everything correctly, your cover will be approved, and that's it. If there's an issue with it, it'll either be rejected on a quality issue, or it could be rejected because of a vetting issue. But you will get an email. We always communicate with our artists, and if there's something that needs to be fixed so that it could be approved, we let you know.
All right. Before I pop up the next question, because it's from this person, so I'm going to include her comment because I really liked it. But Christina says that love seeing D2D kicking booty. Thank you, Christina. We appreciate that. And so for a reward for that, your question was, is there a financial advantage to using this book cover service?
I mean, it depends on what your alternatives are. If you're trying to design a cover yourself, it's probably going to be cheaper. It's going to be free, but you may not be that great of a designer. So there's a trade-off, right? You can also go pay the best designer on the planet $2,000 to design a cover, and it's going to be one of the best covers ever designed, but it costs $2,000. With SelfPubBookCovers, the whole point is we wanted a marketplace where artists could offer their work for authors to see and purchase and tweak and make their own, and then have a unique cover that's just for their book. Again, it can't be sold again. Once you purchase a cover from the marketplace, it's yours. You own it. So it is unique. It is yours. And most of them are sub $100 covers, which we believe, and I've got a lot of experience in this industry. I know Kevin does, Rob does. $100 or less is pretty affordable in the scheme of things for book covers.
Especially for the quality. Another thing that I just want to bring to authors' attention is you have to be careful that the artist that you are hiring to do the work is knowledgeable, that they're professional. If an artist says, "Oh, I could design a cover for you for $25,"
yeah,
well, maybe they're picking up public domain pictures of a person.
Yeah.
Can't do that. All our covers have model releases because we make sure that if there's a person shown, that it's purchased from a stock house, and we see the stock house. So you can purchase a cover that's inexpensive, but in the long term, it might cost you a lot more.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Christina, I guess, wanted to clarify. She means that if I'm a D2D author, is there an incentive to use this service? And I think that what we answered actually is the answer to that. Like there's nothing special that's coming your way simply for being a D2D author, other than we love you. But the advantages are, you can get some custom covers, and you can find some things, and you can interact with people to modify things like that. You get a lot of advantages that are baked into SelfPubBookCovers.com. That's the incentive. So the other, I guess, we will be adding, I think, some incentives, Nick, right, as time goes by, really just in terms of like integration and ease of use and things like that, right?
Right. That's the hope. Is I envision a service where there's one user account and you log in and you're now in Draft to Digital's portal, the dashboard, and you can send an email to your followers. You can purchase a book cover, tweak a book cover, modify a book cover, and whatever other things that Draft to Digital already does, all from within one place. Set up your books to read account, for example. We're not there yet, but I'm dreaming. And that's absolutely the goal, is to make this all much easier to do. Yeah.
That's where it starts, the dream.
Man. Linda French on YouTube asks, have you had any issues with Amazon about romance covers being too explicit?
We have explained to our vetters that there are certain types of covers that we will not accept. And in answer to your question about not being any issues, no, because we follow their rules. For example, if there is a woman shown, we know that if she's bare-chested, but another person has their hand across her chest, hiding her breasts, they still won't accept that. If you're showing too much butt, they will accept it, but they might put your book lower in search. We also know that Amazon won't accept a cover which has a firearm facing directly, oops, there we go, at the viewer. There we go. So we've been doing this for 10 years. Very early on, we found out a lot of these quirks about Amazon KDP, and we've integrated that into our vetting.
Yeah. That too much butt thing does explain why my author profile photo keeps getting downvoted on Amazon. So Tina Lee, okay. So Tina Lee asks, is there a way for D2D to let authors know that there are professional photographers like me that shoot a lot of their own photography for covers that makes them even more one of a kind at no extra cost? Are we letting authors know that stuff?
At this point, I don't think there's any differentiator. It's basically the cover designer designs a cover. And if they're using stock photos or they're creating their own photography, the only person who would know in that chain is the photographer themselves and the vetter on our side. Once the cover's up for sale in the marketplace, it's just going to be a cover among other covers. So it does become an economic decision at some point. Is it worth doing custom photo shoots for these covers? What I would say is there's definitely a benefit to a photographer when and if an author comes along who wants a custom cover. That's a great idea for us in the future to have some sort of flag where we know these designers are actually photographers as well. And so if we get a custom request in, we can't find a stock photo that we want to use that the author would like, we might pitch it to one of these artists because they can take their own photographs.
Yeah. I'd like to add something to this. Or we do not have, the only times that we have one image on a cover, and we do have a lot of photographers who do this. One of them is B. Javier. He's a professional photographer in England. He does a lot of advertising. And when he gets models in the studio, he does single photos of models for his covers. All of our covers are created with a minimum of 2 images. We do not allow a stock image, one stock image, to be used for a cover, because anyone can buy that stock image and then you have the same cover.
Right.
The only time that we allow one image to be used is when it's done by a photographer.
Excellent.
And
All
you
right.
see that on the vetting, and they indicate that no, we did not use stock photography. This is my photography. Boom, 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 boom. And if there's a person, we make sure that they have a model release.
Excellent. Yeah, that kind of brings us around to some a question I have, like, you know, in terms of how do you protect the author against duplicate covers? I know that the cover gets retired, but I just assume, maybe I'm wrong, you know, that some of the same stock art is potentially being used on multiple covers. What are you doing to protect the authors from, you know, someone basically having a duplicate out there?
Well, to start, because we're using 2 images,
Yeah.
we indicate on the vetting that the major visual has been obviously changed.
Okay.
So, you know, we might have a fellow bearing his chest, and the background could be against a castle.
Yeah.
On a few occasions, and by the way, this is in our FAQ, frequently asked questions. One of the questions is, hey, I thought your covers were one of a kind. I just saw a cover that had the same guy on it.
Yeah.
Well, our response is that many of our artists use stock photography, but because they're using at minimum of 2 different images, the cover is obviously different, even though there is the same, let's say, major visual of, let's say, the guy opening up his shirt. Most of the times when authors question this, they are happy with the response. They're happy with their cover. On a few occasions, we have said to the authors, look, if you like, we can change the guy for you. And we do it at no charge because we want them to be happy. The amount of times this happens in a year, it's so minor.
Yeah.
3 times, 2 times, I can't even remember. So at that point, if somebody is not happy, we'll just change an element to make them happy. And by the way, if you look at the full response about, you know, hey, I saw a similar cover, we discuss hiring a photographer and hiring models and renting costumes.
Yeah.
It gets quite pricey.
Yeah.
So using stock photography, it's the way to go.
We got one last question, and it's going to wrap us up. I'll let you guys knife fight each other to figure out which one you wants to answer it. But what will the initial integration? I think, Nick, this is probably you actually. But what will the initial integration of the 2 sites look like? Will it be just links on both sites to the other, so that authors know where to find each service, or will it be something more obvious?
I'm really excited to answer this, Andrew. We have no idea. No, I mean, I wish I could give you a better answer than that.
We have some preferences. We have some hopes.
We have some dreams. We have some hopes. We're just too early on in the game. You know, the goal was, let's get Self-Pub book covers under the Draft to Digital umbrella from a business standpoint, but keep it running as is. Let's make sure that we're not breaking anything, ruining anything, you know, changing experience too soon, too early. We're not going to change anything. Right now, like I said, I'm drinking from the fire hose. Rob is teaching me how to use this system that he's built. It works great. There's nothing wrong with it. Of course, everything can change, and there's always ways to improve these things. So Rob and I are just putting our dream list together And part of that stuff, part of the thing, some of the things on that list are integration things. Hey, it would be great if we had a way to log into one portal and, be able to do all this there, but we're just not there yet. I wish I could tell you
I imagine like the
how long
sort
it's
of
gonna take.
right. I think the sort of MVP simplest way to go is going to start with putting it like in the the menu on the top of the page or something along those lines. But we'll make sure you can find it.
We'll see. It's not going to be any harder. The goal is to not make anything more difficult. We'll hopefully make things easier and better and much improved. But
exactly,
we don't even know how to define those terms at this point.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you both for being on and for discussing this with us and guiding us through this.
Questions.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Very exciting. I think we're about to see some major disruptions happening out there. For everyone paying attention here or not paying attention here, make sure that you go to, if you're going to get started at SelfPubBookCovers.com. Go ahead and start your account. Start browsing. And we'll, as this integration happens, you'll start getting notices from us. That'll put you on a mailing list for sure. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you for being a part of the show, everybody. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. All that stuff is required by internet law. So don't let us down. And make sure you bookmark D2DLive.com, because this was a special one-off, late in the day kind of show, but you got to know about it in advance if you were on D2DLive.com. So make sure you check that out. We got another thing coming up tomorrow, another show at noon Central. So make sure you tune in for that, and you'll find a link to it at D2D.
Tomorrow, or is that Thursday?
What is today? Today's Wednesday. So is it tomorrow and Thursday the same?
One day a week, tomorrow and Thursday are the same thing. And that day happens to be today. So
yeah, exactly. Every now and then. So, all right. Well, thank you.
I'd like to say one last thing before I say goodbye.
Sure.
Authors, please make sure that you sign up, because if you sign up, when you find a cover that you like, you can save it. If you do some customization on it, you can save it. If you don't sign up and 3 days later you're looking for the same cover, you might not find it again, because we're adding so many covers every day.
Yeah.
So sign up and you'll be in great shape.
If you don't use, you lose. So, all right. That's going to wrap us up. Before we roll out, and hey, Rob, Nick, you guys hang out, but everyone else, here's a little treat for you. Speaking of covers, you know what you're going to need a cover for is your print book. So take a look at this, and we'll see you all next time. Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draftedigital.com.